We're excited that you all came to hang out with us for an hour or so and hopefully learn from us and learn from each other. And maybe you will teach some of us some things that are going well for you and what you're doing. So I just want to start with a little bit. This came from Gina Warner, who's the president of the National After-School Association. I was on a Zoom call yesterday, I think it was, with her and there were a lot of people on it, but she was speaking. And she talked about these phases that we go through. She is from Louisiana. I think she was in New Orleans after Katrina. And she talked about the response phase, and she talked about the recovery phase. And kind of where we are right now is in that response phase. So it feels like we're trying to just gather ideas and materials, and how can we stay connected with kids, and how can we help their families immediately. Meals are a big thing that I know programs are doing. And so we're really trying to kind of respond that way. And that will probably go on for a couple of weeks, and it should rightly go on. But also there will come a time where the kids will go back to school, and they will come back to our after school programs, and we'll be kind of in that recovery phase. So as we think about these things that we're talking about today with virtual programming, when we talk about serving the community and talking about resources, think about those as responses for what you can do now, today, but also kind of keep that in the back of your mind when the kids do come back. How might we use some of these ideas for our future trainings, our future connection with kid, our future program, whatever it might be. So just keep those kind of things in mind as we're right now, we're in that response phase, and just kind of scrambling to be a support in any way that we can. But also let's think long-term and go, okay, so what of these responses can we keep in place because they do serve our people well? So this is going to be an interactive session. This is not just going to be an hour of me talking because nobody really wants that. We'll start with virtual programming. So virtual programming is going to be our first topic. At its core, virtual programming really is about connection, right? As much as you miss your kids, they miss you at least that much. They get used to seeing you every day. They get used to high-fiving you or giving you a hug, or they sit down at a certain table to have dinner or their snack and they talk to you. And those kids miss you. And so this virtual programming, yes, there are things that we can do to help them, but really it's about staying connected to the kids and to their families. So keep that in mind. So a lot of these ideas that we'll talk about right here, especially in this section, have come from a program in Dixon. Dixon, Missouri is a small town, kind of south central in the state. They have a fantastic program there. They run elementary, middle school, and high school. So their program director sent me a list a couple of weeks ago of what or a week and a half, I guess, of what they're doing in their community. So a lot of these ideas are being done. It's not just a theoretical, oh, try this. So the virtual programming, you can do it two ways. You can do it recorded or you can do it live. So just talking about some of the live ideas, a lot of it can be done using Zoom. I know a lot of school districts have been coming up and saying you can't use Zoom. We just got an email not long ago from a lady who works for a district and said that she can't use Zoom on any of her district devices, which would include, iPads, Chromebooks, computers, cell phone, all that kind of stuff. So there are other platforms that you can use. Facebook Live, I know some have used that. A lot of the programs have social media pages, so you can post things there. You can do those live kind of interactive things there. So just some ideas of the live virtual programming. So one is reading to students. This program in Dixon, they got some of their A+ students, their high school kids, to read books. So maybe they go Facebook Live and they read a Dr. Seuss book, or they start reading a chapter book, and maybe once a day at 10 o'clock, they start reading a chapter book. So mom, being at home with the younger kids, can set them in front of a screen somehow, and it's an educational thing. Somebody's reading to them. It's not just them watching a show and whatever, but somebody is actually reading to the children. So it's a great little idea, and it's easy. I know the Boys and Girls Club here in Columbia, they have been doing that. They have been just reading a book a day, I think it is, to the kids. So that's a great way to do it. One of the other suggestions was a book discussion or a movie discussion. So having those live sessions where maybe you ask kids to watch a certain movie or watch something on YouTube, a documentary of some kind, and then say, hey, at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, we're going to have on Zoom or Facebook Live, we're going to have a little conversation about what that movie was about. A book club for some of your older students maybe that can read chapter books, and maybe it's just something small, but the book, have the kids read a book and then get together and, hey, we're going to talk about this book. It's not a book report. It's going to be more of a, who's your favorite character? Why? What was the book about, more than just the story? Was there more to it than what we really thought about? You are good, and you can come up with those ideas for how to do those book discussions or what to even read. Same thing with movies, those kind of things. Another thing that they did in Dixon was enrichment activities. So they had a couple of teachers that, one teacher had a 5-minute workout video that she would do with the kids. You can do that live. You just get on and you start doing the exercises, invite the kids to be part of it, and they exercise along with you where they are. They did cooking with very simple kind of things, and it might have been cooking. It might be learning how to make a sandwich. You could do peanut butter and jelly, right? How to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So cooking, exercise, art projects, kitchen science experiments, just using things that the kids might have in their homes. Dance parties that you just turn on some music, you dance, you invite the kids to dance. Some of these, y'all are just going to have to get over yourself, because it's going to feel a little bit awkward, right? If you have a dance party and you're actually the only person in the room with the music playing and you're dancing. But those kids will watch you, and where they are, they go, oh, hey, that's Miss Jenna, or that's Mr. Daniel, and they can dance along with you, all right? So dance parties, music lessons, a program in Dixon at the high school level. They have a teacher who does guitar lessons. He's continued to give those guitar lessons. So you can do those live as well. So the recorded virtual programming, a lot of these are going to be kind of the same ideas, but you just record it and make it available for the students. So in Dixon, they posted them to their social media platform. They just put them on their Facebook page. It would be a closed group for them. YouTube channels, maybe a district might have a YouTube channel, and you can create some lessons or reading to students again and have it posted on the district site. Along with giving that something, along with it being something for the kids, it also can enhance your value to the school district. If you could say, hey, my after school program, we're going to read a book a day, and can we post it on the school website, and have those conversations to see, just because you do bring a value. Sometimes it's not seen, but there is a value there. But if you can demonstrate that value to the school district. So like I said, a lot of these are going to be the same. Reading to students, those enrichment activities that kids can do whenever they want to do. So maybe mom has a schedule for them, and so they do school stuff and other kind of things until 3 o'clock, and then at 3 o'clock they get to get on and do their after school enrichment. But they can choose that. So anything really that you can turn into a lesson could be a virtual program idea. So we had a call earlier this morning with program directors. We had about 60 of them on there. And Colleen Abbott, who's in Eldon, told a story about a guy, one of their people who was out. He had taken his son down to the creek, and they found a bunch of frog eggs. And he somehow communicated with Colleen, said, I'm going to do a lesson on these frog eggs. Yes, do that. Just record it. You have to know something about the frog eggs. You can't just get on there and go, hey, guys, here's some frog eggs. We'll see you later. It's got to be something with some substance. But really anything that you're doing that you can turn into a lesson or turn into something that the kids might just really want to engage with. So one thing to keep in mind, this doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be professional grade video. This could be just something where you take your phone, you set it up on your table to record you, and you teach kids how to sketch a picture of Mickey Mouse. It could be a 5-minute little video, but it is something to give them. So it's drawing lessons. It's nature lessons. Go outside and go for a walk and record what you see when you're out there. And then you can come back and you can create a little lesson plan to go with, or a little lesson that goes with it. Here's what we saw outside. So don't get caught up in thinking this has to be, this has got to be really good. This has got to be professional. This is just something that you're putting out there to serve your kids. So we're going to try this. We're going to send you all to breakout rooms. What are we at? 244. Woo! Okay. So when you go to the breakout room, here's what I want you to talk about. And these breakout rooms are kind of like the training overall. They're going to be what you make them, right? So if you get in there and nobody says anything and you all just sit there like this and wait for somebody to say something, that's going to be pretty uncomfortable and awkward. So when you get in there, turn on your camera, unmute yourself when you're in the breakout room, and have a conversation with people. You'll be with people from all over the state. Ask what each other are doing now for virtual programming. So here's your discussion prompts. All right, talk about what your program is doing now, virtually, if anything. What are you posting? What are you recording? What are you doing live? What is your program doing to serve your kids virtually? And then another question is, what platforms are you using? So like we said, we're using Zoom. Some districts have said you can't use Zoom. For whatever reason, we haven't heard yet, but some districts are saying that. So what other venues are you using to do that virtual programming? Is it Facebook Live? Is it Instagram Live? Is it Google Meet? Any of those kind of things. So, and then finally, maybe brainstorm some ways, some new ways to engage your students and your families. I didn't say this earlier, but you can invite the parents to be part of these virtual programs. It's a great way to connect the family, because then, a kid later can go, hey, Dad, remember when we did that thing with the after school? Miss Chevelle was doing this thing and we danced with her, and wasn't that fun? Yeah, it was. So you invite the family to be a part of that as well. So we're going to send you to breakout rooms. Turn on your cameras, turn off your mute, and have a conversation. So the way the breakout rooms work, for those of you who have not done this, just by thumbs up, thumbs down, and how was your breakout room? Was there conversation? So if you have your camera on, go ahead and give me a little, it was good. Okay, yeah, most of them look good. All right. So if there was something in your breakout room that you went, oh man, this was really great. If you would put it in the chat box. So we'll share these ideas. So we want to hear kind of what else people are doing. These, I gave you just a handful, but I know there's lots of other things that are happening around the state, people doing amazing things. So if you would put those ideas, yeah, Brooklyn just put how to sew a pillow. Fantastic. So ideas for lessons, ideas for how to connect, just put those over there in the chat box. We'll just keep those going if you all want to read those as they pop up. And I'm going to keep moving here because, like I said, I know you can multitask. Any ideas that you got in your breakout room, go ahead and put those in the chat box, and we'll kind of collect those and see if we can get those out as well. So the second topic we wanted to talk about has to do with serving your community. So, sorry, I'm taking a picture of somebody. So the second topic has to do with serving your community. How are you serving your community? And that includes the parents of the kids that you're working with. All right. So, so in this section, this is just a little disclaimer to those of you who are grant funded 21st Century Community Learning Centers or the SAC grants. Make sure that what you're doing falls within your grant guidelines. I don't want you to get in trouble and you go, oh, well, Brad, the After School Network said we could do this. You need to make sure with your supervisor that whatever it is that you're wanting to do falls within the guidelines of your grant as far as serving your community. Okay, so there's for 21st Century, there's certain parameters, things you can and cannot do. So just make sure you check that before you just go, oh yeah, let's do this. So just some ideas that we've heard of programs serving their communities, and then just a few more that we've come up with. So meal prep and delivery or pickup, that's a big one. It seems like a lot of programs are doing that. A lot of school districts are still serving lunches, maybe some breakfasts, and then after school programs are helping with the pickup and delivery. I do know that some of our community-based organizations, YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, those kind of things, they're involved, as well as some of the faith-based programs across the state. So that's a way, just even to check with your school district and say, how can my after-school staff help with the pickup, the delivery, whatever it is. You do need to make sure that you're abiding by what the district is saying as well. Don't just start making sandwiches and handing them out from your driveway. That's not what we're talking about. So, but it is a way possibly to serve your community with that meal pickup and delivery. In Dixon, they're doing once a week, they're doing online trainings for their parents of the students that they work with, trying to help them navigate all the technology that the kids are needing to use for their homework. So whether that's Zoom or Google Docs, or it's the school website, whatever that might be. So that the after school program is providing that training for the parents of those kids that come to their program, to help them just navigate the technology and understand how it all works. So that's an idea to do that, to serve the community. Another idea we had was just convening a parent meeting. Create a space for parents to get together. There's I can't remember the name of the organization, but it's in Randolph County. They're based in Moberly. They do what are called parent cafes. Parent cafes over Zoom could be done pretty easily. Just creating a space for parents to come together and talk about what they're doing, how they're handling having their kids at home. How are you navigating homework? How are you dealing with childcare? Even, you know, if the after school programs are closed, the daycare is closed, whatever it might be, how are they doing that? I saw a guy, he's a basketball coach in North Carolina. I follow him on Twitter, and he tweeted the other day, he said, I don't know what these teachers are thinking, having us watch their kids all day, every day. You know, so now those kids are at home and parents are scrambling to figure out what do they do? So create a space for those parents to connect. If you have a social worker on staff, or maybe it's a school counselor, convene a space for people to connect and talk about taking care of themselves. Not talking about washing hands and keeping 6 feet apart, those kind of things, we know that. But have a counselor or a social worker talk about how you take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, through all of this craziness that's going on. Like this, none of us had ever lived through this before. So create that space in serving the community that way, the parents. Connect with your community partners, those people that might come in and provide programming for you and for your kids. Just connect with them and say, hey, what do you need that we can do? Or how can you continue to serve my kids and my families? Is there anything that, you know, this community partner might be able to provide for your families and your and students? This one seems a little bit of a heavy topic, but they talked about this on the National After School Association call yesterday. Talked about walking people through the process of filing for unemployment, which seems really hard. But people are losing their jobs. You know, they're being furloughed, and then they apply for unemployment. So maybe you connect with some of your city officials, or somebody that you could say, hey, can you help us? We're going to just host a call for our parents who might be losing their job, and how do they file for unemployment? Do that. I saw Jen posted, we're creating private Facebook groups for parents, parent support groups. So maybe it's a private Facebook group. It's a great idea. I saw this the other day, and actually this was in Dixon. It was the school that did it, but you can do it with your after school. Hold a parade through the neighborhoods where your kids live. If a lot of your kids are in a certain neighborhood, this is probably better in a small town, but maybe you could do it in a big city. But if your kids are kind of centralized in one place, they have the staff just in their cars, so they're keeping their appropriate social distance in that. But they just did a parade through the neighborhood, so they got to wave at the kids, playing music as they go through. They had decorated their cars a little bit. So it's just another way to connect with the families and with the students that you serve. So these are just some kind of random ideas that we have seen, and some things that we have kind of come up with on our own. So Sandy said they've stopped the teacher parade. So I guess, again, make sure that it's, you know, we don't want anybody getting arrested or whatever, but, you know, check and make sure that you can still do those things. But yeah, so we're gonna put you back to breakout rooms. I think you will go back to the same room. It's all randomly assigned, so you may end up with some other people. But have those conversations about how are you serving your community. So here's your prompts for talking about serving your community. What are the needs of your students and their families? What are the needs of your students and their families, and what can you do to help meet those needs? And then how can you connect with your community partners to serve the families in your community? All right, so what are the needs? Talk about those needs, but also how can you connect with your community partners to help serve those needs? All right, so we're going to go to the breakout rooms.
Hey, Brad, I want to, it looks like already, can I ask a quick question for the group that we can get some feedback on?
Okay.
We know of programs who've been asked, and some have gotten some emergency or short-term licensing to take it to serve emergency medical personnel as well as medical staff in their communities. We had in our room that there are some factories now that are reaching out to after-school programs to see if they can provide some kind of services. And if you have had that happen in your community, let us know. I don't know what that's going to look like, but if we know those communities are being asked that, then we can see how people are going to respond.
Thanks, Mark. So yeah, so if you kind of fit that category, if somebody has asked you to be open, whether it's a factory or a hospital or whoever, maybe put that in the chat. So Mark, you can kind of keep an eye on that and note who that is, and then we'll maybe get in touch with you that way. So yeah, if your program has been asked to open to take care of the kids of essential workers, just let us know over here in the chat box, and then we'll take note of that and we'll be in touch. So same kind of thing as far as coming back from the breakout rooms. It's good again. Everybody, yeah, for the most part, that's good. See lots of thumbs up. If you would, again, just put those ideas over in the chat box. So something that somebody else is doing, something that you're doing that you think is working well. That way we can we get a little peek into all of the chat rooms. And it's not just those 8 or 9 people that heard it. So please throw those over there in the chat, those ideas that came out of the breakout rooms. All right. So for this last section, so we've talked about virtual programming. We've talked about serving the community. So my friend Clint Darr, Clint is an ARE with an area after-school regional educator with the AfterSchool Network. He's going to talk to us about some resources that are available. Same kind of format. We're going to give you 4 or 5 resources that you could go check out and see what they are. And then we'll put you in some breakout rooms again, and you can talk about what are the other resources that you found that have been helpful, or ask questions of other people that have done that. So Clint, if you want to unmute yourself.
All right, I'm here.
All right, fantastic.
Brad, you've been talking a lot.
Yes, I have. Thank you.
Yeah, you kind of remind me of a colt because you're a little hoarse.
Yeah, thanks. That's
you're a little hoarse. All right.
Bad. So bad.
Yeah, sorry, had to get that in there. So thank you guys for joining today. I've been collecting some resources, and if you're like me, you've been getting inundated with emails from different organizations, companies, offering free resources and all that kind of thing. And so I've had an ongoing list, and I just picked a few to highlight, quickly here today, and then we'll get an opportunity for you to share some that you're finding out there, because there's a lot of good ones out there, and it's almost impossible to keep up with them. I'm going to do a share screen, and hopefully this will come up. The first one I'm going to share, if I can, I've got to figure out if I can actually open this link. I hope I can. This one I just wanted everyone to be aware of. It's not an actual resource as far as activities or anything like that, but the STEM Next Opportunity Fund put this out there to our situation. So I'm just going to scroll down. They have a little introductory thing about, dealing with the crisis and what they kind of do as an organization. We don't need to read all that, although it's good. And once you have this link, we'll share these links. But down here, they said that here's a list of I think it's 5 things to do to make sure you're doing. And I'm not going to go through these and read them the whole thing item by item, because I'd like you all to do that. But I just thought it was a really great list. And number 1, empower parents by conveying this message. It's their encouragement that matters. So parents are being asked, basically to be the teachers in the homes, and that's a difficult spot to be in. So just we want to empower them by telling them it's their encouragement that matters. As it says there, parents don't need to be an expert or have the answers. They don't need to be the teacher during their stay-at-home times. They need to provide, encouragement and support for their kids. And so there's several other good things in that paragraph. Number 2, listen to parents. The programs that most to and learning with families.
Hey, Clint.
Yeah.
So we're still seeing the Word doc. So we're not seeing the website. When you click the link, it just, the document's still up. So we're not
Oh,
seeing.
okay. All right. Let me try something else. Yeah, because I was reading off the actual web page and I assumed that came up. So let me, I'm going to do a stop share and then I'm going to go back to share and hopefully I can get that to come up.
So while Clint's doing that, there've been a couple of questions if we'll share this. So we will share this document. We'll post these resources on our website, on the MASN website. So you'll be able to go and to pull those and others that we'll have there as well.
Cool. Are you seeing it now, Brad? Okay. So we just covered that number one. And like I said, there's more information in there. I'm not going to read it word for word. Number two, listening to parents. During challenging and uncertain times, it's more important than ever to ask parents what they want and need. Okay, go back and ask for feedback as you roll out resources and services. Listen to them and see if you're meeting their needs. And there's some other resources that you can click within that number. Number three, go easy on helping. Avoid resource overload. And that's why we're only going to share about 5 here, right now. Because it's overload. If I shared 20 different things, you'd just be going, oh, geez, it's a lot of stuff. The abundance of ideas and activities for learning at home comes from good intentions, but imagine what it's like to be, flooded with resources, and we've all probably experienced that. And there's a link within this one that we're going to go to as one of our other resources that I'm going to mention here in a minute. Number four, relationships first and foremost. As you look to support families, we encourage you to put relationships first. Okay, that kind of is intuitive, and we've said it before, but keep that first and foremost. And then number five, be vigilant and support families in most need. Okay, prioritize your efforts for families who have the least social capital and the most to lose during these times. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind too. So I just thought that was a real good document that STEM Next put out, and so keep that one in mind. All right, now I'm going to stop share so I can go back to my next item. Let's see. And I might have to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to try it one more time to, if I click on the link and it opens. Brad, are you seeing the web page or are you still seeing the Word doc?
Still seeing your document.
Okay, I thought we could click and go to it, but I can see I'm going to have to go this other way. Okay, this next one that was on my list of 5 for today is called Ed Navigator, One Great Thing for Tomorrow. Okay, and as it says right there, as parents grapple, with life in the era of the coronavirus, we know how hard it is to get through these days. These are some things, and this is updated every day. So this was today's one great tip. Social distancing is the right thing to do, but it's tough on kids and their buddies. Help them stay connected with video chat play dates with their best friends. One great read, and then it'll have a link, how to talk to your kids about the coronavirus in an article from PBS. One great e-learning resource. Try some coding with these 1-hour activities from code.org. We're going to be talking about coding at home. One great question for dinner time. Here's the question. You get to invite 3 famous people from any time in history to come to a party. Who would they be? What do you think they would talk about? So it's a question for dinner time for families. One great activity to do together. This for today. Have your kids ever seen your family tree? You might be surprised by how much they don't know about who's related to whom. Get a piece of paper and start drawing it out. Okay. And then they end with one more great thing, which I love. Did you wash your hands? No. Why are your hands wet? I licked them. Oh, that should kill the germs. So anyway, Ed Navigator, and that link is on your list as well. All right. Number 3 on my list, and I'm going to have to open it just so I can see what it was that I'm looking for. Okay, it's the Girls Who Code. And let me see now if I can find the Girls Who Code page to show you, because I think it really helps to see what it is you're looking for. I don't see the code web page. Hold on just a second, though. Sorry, I'm fumbling my way through this as we learn how to navigate all the ways we can use Zoom. And I don't see the code.org one. So I think I will just talk on that one for a second. I know what I'll do. I'll go back to my list of 5. Hold on. Okay, so Girls Who Code is making educational activities available for download free of charge. They will release activities weekly, so that's kind of nice. Some online, some offline, varying levels of difficulty for the next few months or however long this goes on. Each activity will include a feature of a woman in tech who pioneered innovative technology. So you go to Girls Who Code, and they've just got great activities that kids can do at home. It takes them, through the activity online. So that's another very good resource, Girls Who Code. And then the next one, Y for Y. If you're not already familiar with Y for Y, it has a variety of resources. It's from the government, the federal government, and I think the biggest challenge of Y for Y is it's cumbersome because there's just so much there. But if you'll go in and just click on the, on the resources and look for the courses, and they have SEL and they have STEM and they have family engagement and financial, the finances of running a program, all kinds of things, from administration down to frontline staff level. And you just click, and you have to click through several things to get where you're going. But once you're there, they have some great things. And one thing that's really nice about the Y for Y courses is that as people complete it, but it's really easy to do. And then the nice thing is once you complete a training, you answer just a very few questions, and then you get a certificate of completion. So that one provides a way to show that, yes, I did this, I completed the training. So a lot of stuff there in the Y for Y website. And then finally, Kid Grit. I wanted to mention Kid Grit. They were at our conference, our MOSAC conference. So some of you are familiar with Kid Grit. They're doing a lot of fun things. And as I copied and pasted basically their blurb, but they have a educator guide. And as it says there, the guide offers social emotional learning directly corresponding to the crisis, keeping with their foundational approach to holistic SEL. They created a 5 to 10 hour activity guide in mindfulness, body awareness, community connection, digital and social media awareness. So it's a very relevant guide. It's very interactive, and it offers activities for family engagement. So check out Kid Grit. They're a very good organization, very knowledgeable, and I think it'll be a very good program to use. Okay, so that's it for today. And like I said, I had probably 50 others that I could have chose from that have a lot of good stuff, but I wanted to limit it. I didn't want to overwhelm. So I'm going to kick it back to Brad, and these will be shared. These links will be shared. I've checked these out. I haven't went in depth, but I've looked at all of them. They're good stuff. So I'd be interested to hearing from you all what else is out there. Okay.
Great.
Brad, back to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Clint. Terry posted in the chat box that handout that Clint, or that document Clint just shared, is available on the MASN website, COVID-19 resources page. So if one of you somebody had asked, what's the MASN website again? If somebody wants to post that over there in the chat box, what our website is. Terry just posted the resource page, so you can get there. Clint's document is there. So this will be our last breakout room. Everybody good? All right. So what I can see on my screen, that looks good. So there was a question somebody asked earlier just about how do you connect with kids that don't have any internet and it's not available to them anywhere. So what's a way to connect with them? One of the there's a couple of ways. Is that old school phone call, just to call and check in. That way you might get to talk to mom too. right? That you can call and say, hey, how's it going? How are y'all holding up? Hey, is Mark there? Can I talk to Mark for just a minute? And you talk to him and, you know, just connect with them that way. Another way we have heard is postcards, just sending out a little postcard, just a note to a kid. Somebody said, well, we're just calling our kids or whatever. And I was like, you don't just call. That's a big deal, because those kids like hearing from you, and it's a big deal that somebody has called them or has sent them, you know, they got some mail or those kind of things. So yeah, so if they don't have internet, they can't jump on any of the virtual stuff you're doing or whatever, it may just be an old school phone call to them. Send them a little note, hey, we miss you at our program, we can't wait till we get back and you're in school and we can see you. So yeah, so again, all those ideas that you had in those meetings or in your breakout rooms, if you want to type those in the chat box over there, I know I've seen just a little bit and it is scrolling fast. We'll go through this at some point, hopefully soon, and post the texts from the chats just so you can have access to the ideas as well. So we are about 2 minutes early. So if you want to type your stuff in there, we're going to end here in just a couple of minutes. If you want to type your information into the chat as far as what you talked about in your room, that would be great. Thank you so much for joining